You're still all look good looking. The faces in the 20s. You're going to clubs. That's what you're thinking about at this moment. But let me tell you, the pressures of reaching the 30s, you will see how competitive life is going to get. Someone will get a very good job. A girl will get married to a very rich man. And you begin to separate. When you meet, the vibe, the energy will tell you exactly where you fall. Right? I'm in my 40s, but today I meet my friends, and trust me, there's nothing there. I see them, I'm happy, I would love to meet them, but then I ask myself, to talk about what? To talk about what? But let me tell you one thing, every time they meet me, they want to meet me again. Why do you think? Because I'm okay. They know they can get something from me. I was speaking to my son called Imran. We are in the car driving. Imran used to go to Vienna. Right now he's in Kent University in the UK. He told me, Dad, I can't wait to come back. You see, when I was bringing my kids from the UK to come here, they were objecting. They didn't want to come here because all they knew about Africa was suffering, wars. That is the image being painted by the news. And when they came in here, I took them to international schools, and they couldn't believe what they were seeing. They were mingling with rich people's kids. All they could see were V8s coming in, big cars. And they say, Africa's good, is way better than the UK. I say, no, it's not better than the UK. It is about which family you're coming from and the privileges within that family. What I want you to see is what you see. I remember I took them like 3 years ago to Dubai. They were celebrating their birthday, their twin boys. And at the airport, we met like 5 friends of theirs. All of them, it was like a week, they had gone for break. Well, during our days, we used to go to the village. To them, they were in Dubai for a holiday. I took them to one expensive place. And in that place, I think we were the only Africans in that particular place. Then in the evening, we went to that tallest building. I've forgotten how they call it. That tall building. And when we reached there, it's free entry. It was congested. Nowhere to pass. And I asked them a question. What do you learn from here? Class is class. At the top, the view is clear. At the bottom, it is crowded. At the bottom, it is crowded. It's up to you to fight in the right time to be at the top. But remember, everyone is fighting to be at the top. I was telling you about Imran, the conversation we were having, saying that I'm now mingling with the big guys. You see, I'm going to go to the UK, and then after 3 years, I'll come back and get a job here, work with my friends here. They're born to ministers. People working in parliament. I'm connected. And I asked him, do you know that I went to school? He said, yeah. I was like, how many of my hobbies and orgies do you know? I said, actually not. I said, that is it. It's not about who you're going to go to school with. When I'm walking around and I meet my Ogi or my Obi, after exchanging our pleasantries, the next thing will be, what do you do? Now, when people ask you that question, they want to calculate how much respect they are going to give you and how much time they are going to give you. That's a fact. After telling me what you do, I deal in property. If you tell me that you're a property lawyer, I'll be more than glad to take your business card. Not because we went at the same school, but because I want something from you later on. So, this is to your understanding that every relationship will have to be reciprocal for it to sustain. People don't want you as a person. They want what comes with you. So it is your responsibility to make yourself valuable in whatever field you want to go in. Then my son was looking at me. And I asked him, what do you learn from what I've told you? I meet all my Ogis, my Obis, but that is it. Bye-bye. You know, we exchange numbers. And trust me, I don't call them. They call, I don't pick. Why? Life does not allow vacuum. I'm already busy with other things. For you to be in my space, you have to be valuable. We cannot be meeting in the evening and talk nonsense. I have bills to pay. I have a name to protect and build even more. I'm working for my legacy. So for you to be part of it, you have to be valuable. And this is what my son told me. And it was a very profound statement. He said, now, Dad, I realize that before I look for contacts, I have to be a contact. Did you catch that? Before you look for a contact, you have to make sure that you are a contact. Human beings, we are naturally selfish. You meet me, but I'm just thinking to myself, what am I going to gain from meeting this person? And when it comes to Ugandans, when they're applying for jobs, it's the other way around. Now, if you go into our inboxes, oh, Haji, I'm a single mom. I have 2 kids. So literally, they're just bringing their problems to me to solve. What do you expect me to do? To reply? Of course, no. No, I'm teaching you. Trust me. I'm teaching you life. Never expect anyone to give you anything. And that is life. This ends with your parents. Simple as that. You can talk about all the best scenarios. It is humanity. You have to do this. No, the world does. The world. No, just a moment. I'm the one teaching here. Life does not operate on fairness. There are certain laws we have to respect. Are we together? Yeah. Laws once followed, you are good to go. That's why sometimes you see people you perceive to be stupid making it in life. And people who are very educated, they have nothing. You see, when people are so educated, they are so consumed with the data they crammed, opposed to common sense. But actually, common sense is the guide. What you're reading about in your universities, all of that was written down by people who had to sit down and think. Now, the worst part you can do is to go and cram and then think that you're going to apply. There's a difference between knowing and understanding. Many people come out of universities knowing, but essentially they don't understand. So you know exactly what you're supposed to be doing now. The people who know what is supposed to be done, they know how to present themselves. They know how to take risks. They know how to be audacious. They are there. They find problems and they look for those who can't find problems. They take chances and they look for those who have the knowledge but they cannot take chances. They bring you in with your skills and they put you on the table. You work for them. So you are clever, but the results are not putting you up. We all have to agree that the world does not pay for how much you know, but how audacious you are, how ambitious, how ready you are to be mocked, but still say that I know what I want and I'm going to go for it. People feel irritated by people who are making a breakthrough and they want to put you down all the time. It's up to you to say no. I know what I want. You can laugh all you want. In the journey of making it in this world, trust me, at the beginning, no one is going to believe in your idea. First of all, you have to understand this. For an idea to be productive, it has to be a bit extraordinary, out of the norm. And in human nature, people want to do what is normal. The moment you do something abnormal, society will be against you. You know the Socrates, the greatest philosophers, the people who led revolutions, they were all not understood in their times. If you look at history, otherwise they were actually persecuted. But after some time, they realized that what they said was right. Now, the only mistake they did was to be ahead of their time. Do you understand that? They were ahead of their time. And afterwards, they were like, oh, the guys were right. And they are gone. So, in my classes, I want to positively brainwash young adults. I want them to think big. Think crazy. That everyone around you is going to say, I don't know whether this guy is okay. I think he's possessed. Do you remember the guy called Segelinya? Muhammad. Was he the most qualified? Did you see what he did before he went to parliament? He was nothing. You know that. He was nothing. He didn't know how to speak. But do you know what he did? He knew how to position himself. He knew what he needed to do in order to gain what he wanted. First of all, he placed himself. Now, he positioned himself before the great men. He was okay being ridiculed. Whatever he said didn't have to make sense, but he was there. Before you know it, the media picked him up. They arrest him today, the following day he goes back. Now, to a sane mind, you'll be like, what's wrong with this guy? What is he doing? He knew exactly what people wanted. And he will tell you the pain someone goes through when they go in hospitals, you know, how people are struggling to get tuition for their kids. he spoke exactly what people wanted to do. He knew what politicians had to do in order to get into the people's brains. And when it came to elections, this guy won 100% in his constituency. All the polling stations. He wasn't the most knowledgeable person. He wasn't. But he was audacious. He knew exactly what he wanted. He knew how not to outshine the master. When you see him near Besije, the way he used to praise him, like him or not, you give him the card. And when he goes there, he will promise. You know that people are attracted to confidence. They don't doubt confidence. There's one thing, when you go along in life, you will understand. In everything everyone does, actually, they don't know exactly what they are doing. I don't even know whether you got what I said. A politician in parliament, when you sit with him at night and you ask him what he does in parliament, what they're supposed to be doing, you will be amazed. He has no idea. But what he knows is the first game. Even the greatest governments don't know exactly what they are doing. This is known by people with brains. When governments are falling down, that's when you realize how weak the government was. But one thing they know how to play the image. How to instill fear in the population. But the day people lose fear, you'll be amazed with what can happen. At one point where we are right now, we have all felt what they call imposter syndrome. Do you know what that is? Feeling that you don't deserve to be there. It's too much for you. At times we get money and you're just wondering, how did I get to this point? How come that I have all of this? What did I do that is so special? And you see how people are treating you. And then you're just feeling maybe they're missing something. Oh, but I'll keep it to myself. Imposter syndrome. That is something you need to work on as young adults, as you start life. I remember, I think this is going to be my last story, about imposter syndrome. In 2023, I've told this story many times. I went to the US. They called me last minute to be part of the group, to be there. The person who was arranging was advised to invite me. Because many Ugandan diaspora, they understand the name Bakaluba. I was like, I don't know the guy. They said, try the guy. So the team came here at Bakaluba Mall. They met me. And I said, all right, I'll go. When they printed my image on the poster, the way they sold tickets, they couldn't believe it. Many guys in the US wanted to see Haji Bakaluba, the guy they've been seeing on social media. I myself didn't know how social media worked, and I didn't know how far my name had traveled. We go in a place called Waltham in Boston. I check in a hotel, and then I realized there are around 8 Ugandans who have flown in from different states. They have booked their rooms in there, and they are ready for the seminar. And they wanted to see me. Now, then they were calling themselves, oh, Haji Bakaluba is here, Haji Bakaluba is there, Haji Bakaluba is there. And at the reception, they were asking me, who is this guy? Who is this guy? And myself meeting these guys, I wasn't so sure why they wanted to meet me, but they were all surprised. They wanted to speak to me, and they all came with the gifts, perfumes, this and that. They gave me money. Oh, thank you so much for your videos. I'm real appreciative. I've done so good with my life. I said, okay. I think this is going to work for me. The show was tomorrow. This show had 10 speakers. Amongst them was the mayor of Boston. Now they call me and inform me that they have changed. I'm the keynote speaker. Now I'm taking over. When I looked at the list of people who were going to talk, I said to myself, no, you must be kidding. Say, you are the one. And for that point, you won't be in the audience as we start. You have to stay in your hotel because we don't want the audience to see you. They will get excited. You have to stay upstairs. You might think it was good on my side, but you don't know what was going on through my brain. I stayed in my hotel. The event started. I was upstairs. The hall was downstairs. I could hear something coming from downstairs. People were laughing. They were clapping. After one speaker after the other. And then they told me I'll be down at around 4. And time was running so quick. So quick. Now, I had revised what I had to say. But out of pressure, everything was going out at a rate I couldn't understand. It's like when you go into the exams and you know everything you're supposed to be writing down. And then you're in there, it's like, no, this is something so simple. And then you realize that you can't even write a certain word. You are even forgetting how to spell. The moment you're out, you're just, the answer was, it was Canada. Everything is just so simple when you get out. What happens there is nothing but pressure. It's too much. It's too much. Then I was doubting myself. Why are these people hyping me so much? What am I going to talk about? What's there? What's there? I tried so much. Now, this is where the idea of having a mentor comes in. My mentor, Les Brown, we have similarities. This is a guy who had a poor childhood. He struggled with education. He struggled to speak, but ended up being the most effective communicator. I don't know whether you know Les Brown. If you don't know him, you need to look out for the guy. The guy went to give a speech at Harvard University. And when they were seated in the waiting room, his co-hosts were having a conversation, and everyone was talking about where they went to school. Oh, I went to Cambridge. I went to Princeton. I went to, high end. This is a guy who went to Chaliwajala Umea. He was just looking at them. He didn't even know what to say. And he excused himself, went to the toilet. He was feeling butterflies, and he started talking to himself. He knew that he was done. He was going to be exposed for what he is. But then, at home they used to call him Les. The world knows him as Les Brown. He had to speak to Les to leave him alone, and he invited Les Brown to come in and take over. This is Les Brown, the motivational speaker, international level, being invited to Harvard University to give a speech. And he was asking himself, why did they invite me? They invited me because they saw something in me. It was purely on merit. not through connection. Do you get the idea here? And it is said when he went on the stage, everyone stood up. He spoke, they could not stop clapping. All the points he was giving were top. And people started buying his audios from that speech. He was at the point where he wanted to chicken out, and he spoke himself out of it, and it was his best speech. At this point, I had to borrow a riff. Now, this was Haji Bakaluba, who was sourced from Uganda, Namugongo, Charlie Wajala, to the airport, now in Boston. People left their work to come and sit, and he has to speak. I spoke to myself. Imposter syndrome can drive you nuts. And I was seated in my hotel, still shaking. Didn't know what I didn't know what I was going to do in the end. But let me tell you what happened to my body when they knocked that hotel door to tell me that it was time. I went in a different zone. I knew it was time. I had to face my fears, regardless. And I summoned the guy called Haji Bakaluba to take over. You need to see the video of Haji Bakaluba when he stood on the stage. I forgot about my background, my education, all the doubts. And when I stood there, I was looking for Les Brown in me. And I spoke for almost an hour. It was less than an hour. And when I finished, because the time was running out, the hotel was stopping us. There's a guy called Charles Subi. He rose his hand and said, "No, we haven't had enough from Haji Bakaluba. Who is supporting me when it comes to this?" Everyone was like, "No, we need more of Haji Bakaluba, and more of Haji Bakaluba, more of Haji." And I had other speakers seated there. They got a piece of paper and they wrote down everyone who wanted to attend my seminar, speaking again tomorrow. And they got another place it's still in Boston. The place is called Bererica. And I had to be there by lunchtime. By the time I went there, all Ugandans were seated there. That is the day we formed what they call Bakaluba Millionaire Group. A group which has helped me go through all around the world doing my business. Now the question is, imagine I chickened out. Imagine I second-guessed myself. And the amount of money I've created out of that 1 hour speech, I cannot tell. Because after 2 months, I had to go back and Sarah arranged. Before I stood on stage, they had to give me 30 grand USD. But that was all from 1 hour speech. You see, Barack Obama in 2003 went on the stage on the convention to speak for Kerry's convention. He spoke for 20 minutes. That put him on the front page where he was selected. He came the next 4 years. He became the president. What if he chickened out? Do you see such moments? I mean, you know, fear is normal for all of us. But in the end, you can shake all you want inside, but no one sees what is inside you. It's up to you to come, put on the brave face, and slide with it. Then when you go back, you just go, "Whew, whew, I've done it, I've done it, I've done it." That's life. But the problem, people want to be so safe, and they end up just being the normal. What we are looking for is the abnormality. It's the abnormality which helps us to make it. I remember I went with Hajat to Serena when Mufti Menk came here. Mufti Menk was supposed to be at Serena by 4. The guy didn't turn up. The place was all packed. And he told them, I'll be there by 7. People had paid 30 grand per ticket. It was very expensive, but Serena was full to capacity. When they saw me walking in, they came to me and they said, Haj, people are seated down. We need someone to occupy the vacuum. I said, no, I'm not ready to speak. Please help us. We need someone on stage. I said, okay, give me 5 minutes. Let me see what I can talk about. They said, no, we can't go longer than this. There's nothing. You know, Islamic stuff, you know, they cannot play music. You know, everything is haram. So they want someone to be there and give a speech. And most of the sheikhs, I think, were not very good with English. So the place was open for whoever could speak English. And no one had the comfort to go. I remember she told me, are you going to do it? I said, what are you going to talk about? I said, I don't know. But they're calling you. I said, yeah, let them call me. I said, ladies and gentlemen, now we introduce you, Haji Bakaluba, a good businessman. And I just stood up. I had nothing. She was shaking. But I know how to go into that character. It's like I get possessed. I just look at my mentors, how they do it, and I just got lost. I spoke. And the way people were clapping, I didn't know what to speak next. But things kept on coming. They kept on coming. And everyone was clapping. Everyone was clapping. And to my amusement, when the guy came, Mufti Menk, the points he was giving, it was like he was selecting from exactly what I had spoke about. There, the Muslim fraternity picked me. They started calling me to Serena, to go to corporate dinners, speak to guys, until I reached a time when I told them, now I have to select my appearance. When it comes to content, you have to read. You have to exercise. You don't have to be ready, because there will never be a ready time. Time will never be right. The right time to be ready is now. You are ready when you choose to be ready. You can take all the time you want. There will never be the right time. What is the worst that can happen? They called me in here. Trust me, I didn't know what was happening here. But the fact that I've read a lot, I know how to communicate. I know how to read the audience. I can easily go back into my notice and plug out what I want to talk about. The ability to know that I'm talking to a 20-year-old, a 30-year-old. I'm talking to widowers. What do I need to talk about? What are their fears? What do they want to hear? The ability to understand, that is the best. Now, let me tell you one thing about you guys. I've managed to interact with young guys. You meet them, you're talking about business. Strictly, they know that they are talking to Haji Bakaluba. Haji Bakaluba is talking Luganda. You know, you are communicating in a proper way. Then you speak with someone who cannot hold one language which can make full sense to that person they are talking to. You ask them, oh, what dog about it? Now, Haji, let me tell you. And there's a way you guys speak. Eh? Now, let me tell you. And you're just like, come on, be a man. Be a man. What do you want? Be confident. You're talking to Haji Bakaluba. Haji nzemba dente sa. Now, that is the language a man like me will understand. Do you get it? The ability to understand the person you are talking to is a sales point. As I conclude, This is your take home. The ability to spot someone's problem is one thing. That is the beginning of making business. When I left the UK, I was watching Jack Ma. And he said something so profound to me. This is what he said. He said, if you want to make something in life, you don't have to look at what everyone has done. You just have to look for a problem. Define a problem in society. A problem in society is business. That's why you see in a hospital, outside the hospital, you find coffins. Do people go to hospitals to die? No, they don't. They go there to recover. But they know that is something that can happen, and it happens. So you're outside there, you're waiting for business. Ambulances, they're there. All right? To see the opportunity is one thing. You don't have to know. You do not have to know, but you just have to have the ability to know where the problem is. Not knowing how to solve it has gotten nothing to do with it. Nothing. There was a guy who was talking about Haji Bakaluba on social media. This guy is going around like he's the biggest developer here. This guy knows nothing about construction. You know, if we bring all the drawings, we have never seen his name anywhere. And this was the point I had to reply back to them. I said, listen, guys, I'm not an engineer. You have to respect me. That is way lower than me, Haji Bakaluba. I'm the CEO. I'm the guy who employs. I'm the guy who employs the idea. I'm the vision bearer. So you calling me an engineer is an insult. I'm the boss of the engineer. Do you get the point? I am the boss. Now, you get the point. What's the problem? Is it medical? You don't have to be a doctor. All your ability has to be how you can convince the people to come to your hospital. Then you get the good doctors. The good doctors will advise you on where to buy the good medicine. These are the people who are not willing to think, who are not willing to organize. So you do the organization, they work for you, you pay them, you take the big difference. Now this is high-end thinking. You are not working for anyone. You are the top guy. I went to Mengo Hospital. This is like 4 years ago. They wanted to build a hospital. And when they called me, I was in the infancy of making my company. You see, when you're making a company, you don't know exactly what you're doing. But you're trying it anyway. You believe. And they had to send me their project manager to speak to me. And they gave me the drawings. It is a big hospital. Now, I'm telling you this story just to show you how people can prevail just by believing in themselves. And what I'm telling you is a true story. This guy showed me on social media, he was talking about real estate, how it's done this and that, and they were seeing how quick I was when it comes to making projects. They were following me. They said, this guy I think is good, and we can try him. If he's cheaper, he can do it for us. They gave me the drawings, and I had to call the guys, the ones who went to university, the guys who knew everything. They quoted everything for me, and I had to present it to them to give me the job. Now, I go to Mengo. I went in my jean, sneakers, t-shirt. That's how I dress when I'm in my field. They said, Haji Bakaluba, you come into the boarding room. Do you have your engineer with you? I said, no, I walked by myself. Oh, we were expecting you to come with your team. I don't have a technical team. mark you. But my company is running. I said, no, I'm all right, I'm okay. When they opened the room, I saw around 5 people seated, putting on ties and, okay. Now, they were expecting me to come in and give a presentation. I'm the guy who had written everything down, thinking that I'm just going to go through it. I don't need to convince them because they were the ones who sourced out for me. Okay. It's Haji Bakaluba, I'm the CEO, Bakaluba Property Services. I've had your drawings and I think we are ready. We wanted to ask you about this, the time frame. And actually, I had no idea what I had to talk about. But at this point, you can't chicken out. You can't chicken out because they don't know how your company runs. It's up to you to tell them how you do things. So whatever was coming from my side was exactly how we saw things. Now, you can either go with us or not. Simple as that. Then I started explaining to them, now in 2 months we can do this, we can do that, we can do this. And then there came the hardest part. This was the scan room. And they wanted to ask me a few things on how we are going to construct it. I said, yeah, we are going to do that. And I think my engineer has already seen it. That is something they're going to be sending to me. And I'll be able to show it to you through, pictures. Said, okay, now, there was somewhere they go for cancer radiation. Now, this was the hardest part. How they construct the radiation room is something I've never heard of when it comes to construction. But there I was. I'm here to construct a hospital. Saved by the Bell, there was a guy who spoke about a certain surgeon, the best in East Africa. He was just across the road. He was having an operation and he was supposed to be meeting us. I said, why don't we meet him first as we discuss this? They say, yeah, we can go the other side and meet him. It was like just a 5 minutes walk. I got my phone. I started asking Mr. Google how to construct a radiation room. But remember, I had only 5. What I'm telling you, you see, some people see us, they are successful, but they don't know the kuiriba behind the success. They just, see things just going through. Yeah, that was the seminar. I think these were all the speakers. I don't know where. No, the mayor is not there. It was a short lady. Now, as we are crossing the road, I was going through it. I had to take the notice. When we reached there, the guy came out of the operation room, and I had to make sure that I speak for less than 5 minutes, not to leave the loopholes behind. I thanked him, for the job he's doing, and we are more than happy to help construct this hospital. But I think, according to the time frame, it can be a bit extended because the doors to the radiation room, the doors will have to be shipped in from Germany. Many hospitals have tried to bring in these doors from China, but they are not good. When you go to Germany, Germany has got the best. That is something I had just read on internet, but the way I presented it, the guy just shook his head. He said, yeah, actually, that is it. Even in Kenya, they export it from Germany. The guy knows, and the way he gave me credit, I was just standing there not wanting him to ask me another question. But the facade, the way I had presented it, it is like someone who has done it before. And let me tell you, I got the contract. I got the contract. And by then, I didn't even have an office. I didn't. But what happened was my presentation, the tenacity, the ability not to give up, even when you are faced with challenges. You don't show it. Have you seen people who come in front here and they ask something, when they don't know it, they'll give that funny smile. It's like they're crying, laughing. It gives you away. But when someone asks you a question, and really you know that you can come up with something, in public speaking, they call it the powerful pause, where you are thinking about something, but actually you have already made the gesture that you're giving the answer, but actually the brain is processing it. That is all part of communication. Then you come up with the answer, you had a few bits to think about it, but people didn't even know that you were thinking. But the idea that you know how to carry yourself, you know how to pause, you know how to look direct into the eyes, you know how to speak exactly like you know what you're talking about. People cannot run away from you. I've told people many times that confidence can make you open doors which you never dreamt about. Which you never dreamt about. Now you're going to start applying for jobs. They're going to ask you for experiences. It's going to be the same. It's going to be the same over and over and over again. You know, for me to go in the UK, I think I had to apply for a visa 5 times. They kept on denying me. Now, when I look back, I know exactly why they denied me visas. The way I was dressed, the way I was incompetent, the way I was shaken, the way I looked down, you know, my body language. You know, just going to apply for a job, you know, someone can make up the decision in the first 30 seconds. Just looking at you. The way you greet. The way you talk. The handshake. I'm someone who has now gone to apply for a visa and it ended up being just a conversation. And you realize that such skills are gotten with time. This is something you're going to fight with as young people. But in these classes I have here, I'm not teaching people to be working for people. I want to teach people who believe that I'm going to work for someone for 5 years, but there's something in me. There's something in me that I have to be someone. And people have to work for me. That idea, that belief. You know, at one point in my life, there was someone I looked at, the guy who was building a house in Chariwajara there. His name was Billy. And I asked Billy, how did you make it in life? How does someone save 1 million? How can you get 1 million? Then you get 2 and you have 5. And that was something so huge for me. But then after getting it, you realize that actually it is doable. It is doable. There was something you have to be. You see, you cannot become a millionaire until your personality turns into millionaire first. Many people call this motivation speaking. But let me tell you, forget about what society thinks about motivation speaking. But personality works so hard. Perception works so hard. I think for the last week yesterday I went into my office. I can stay home for like 2 weeks without going in my office. They'll clean the office. I never show up. Never. But I'll be making billions of money. And I'm controlling an entity. You know, when it comes to construction, when they tell you that someone is coming up with 5 arcades, you don't know how much money they have to spend in a day for that kind of work to be going. Now, if I've reached a point of doing that and I'm staying at home, it means that I've come to realization that I don't have to be working But I have to create a situation where other people work for me. That's where real money happens. No billionaire is physical. You call a billionaire, oh wait, I'm still at the top of the house here, I'm nading. First wait, let me finish up. No. It goes up here. Many people don't believe in it. That's okay. But the brain, once you set it, once you understand human nature, once you understand what they want, people will bring money to you. I have my good friend. I'm going to say this story out loud. He was fighting with the mom. The mom was listening to my videos every day. And this young man was like, no, Haji. So you woman, you obsessed with Haji. Everywhere is Haji. Everywhere is Haji. And the mom said, just leave me. Let me listen to Haji. That's all right. And when they came to my office, they were still fighting. Yes, you can listen to him, but man, you are taking it overboard. You are taking it overboard. And I said, yeah, it's okay for him to think like that. But then I had a conversation with him within 20 minutes. We were already good friends, and he was already buying into my ideas. We are doing businesses with mom. And I think your mom has already employed my son as well. Homelink. All right? Now, that is connection. There's something that happens. You need to understand the relationship. Now, let me teach you this quickly before I round up. There's something that happens between me and clients like your mom. How they come to know me is not for what I do in terms of business. But it is me understanding their needs and presenting myself to serve them before they give me work. I know people are stressed. They are depressed. They are living in pain. They want a way out, but they don't have anyone to speak to. I've taken it upon myself to learn about people's problems. I'll come on my podcasts, talk about them. Stress, depression, fighting to make a breakthrough. At times, most of them are just procrastinating because of fear or background. And you help break it down for them. And now they can see it clearly. You give them the energy to do it. When they get the energy, who's the first person they will be running to? The person who gave them the clarity. So I don't look for work. I create clarity in people's minds. And then they work for me. Your mom will go and tell friends about me. It started with brain clearing. Do you understand? People don't buy commodities. They buy what they can do with it. You don't need a house. No, you don't. But you need somewhere you will leave your children when they go. When you go. You don't want someone to be chasing them out. If you can explain it to them in that way, they will be able to buy. They are not buying a house. They are buying a legacy. If you can wrap it that way, another real estate agent cannot compete with you. Because the way you do it, you emotionally wrap them around you. This is high level of understanding. And a few people will call it brainwashing, manipulation, this and that. It doesn't matter. For as long as you are serving them, that's fine. The world rotates on manipulation. Politics runs on manipulation. That's why when you are rebelling, they will cut off the internet. Why? They are cutting you off from information. Information controls everything. Internet is open to everyone. You can sell, you can penetrate, you can create your own cult. It is an open market. But you know what? You are still believing what your professor told you. But the whole idea here is, how are you going to attract people to come to you? That's the only that is the only skill you need. You already know what you're supposed to be doing, but how are you going to entice people to come to you? You see, when you're having trouble and your father shows up, it feels lighter. Why? Because of the sense of security they have created in your mind. They might be poor, they might be old, but the moment they show up, you feel security. So selling, you have to go into people's brain. It's not what you're selling, it's how they feel about what they're buying. Are we together here? It may be hard. And trust me, you are not going to get everything in one talk. The NRM has managed to rule this country for years. The people they are using, they take them in different countries, North Korea, Israel. They get the techniques from there. And when they come back here, they look at the levels of education here. People cannot think. They create the lines they want you to believe every day. And you follow. It is so simple. You see, when you can predict what a man thinks or what he can do, you don't have to worry about them. You don't. It's the brain. The fear is already there. They don't care. And there's nothing you can do. You're already paralyzed. You see, the brain that has awakened, you cannot take it back to the chains. When I look at how dumb Ugandans are becoming with the obsession of the phone, and how less productive they are becoming, because there's a chemical they are getting from such notifications. TikTok. You see, the brain is not thinking that much. I think all of you, you know it. When you have something to present tomorrow, you can see that the phone is draining you overnight, and you're all exhausted. There's something in there. For someone who's aware right now, how you're going to convince me that I can't get money from Ugandans? Nah, I'll get the money. I'll get the money. And for those of you who are ready to sit down and understand human psychology, what you are learning from school is very fine. But the psychology of networking, of self-worth, of being available, of building characters. You know, it's me. It is Haji Bakaluba. I've said this. Okay, we can do business. You can give me $500 million. And someone has that confidence in you. That is another level. That is another level. And it is all created from small habits. From small habits. Have you seen someone who's trying to shed off weight? And they go to the gym and they try to work themselves out like 5 hours? It never works. But if you do it in bits, consistently, you do it out of discipline, not out of feelings, it will work. But many of us think that one day we are going to hit a deal and things are going to happen. No. It comes from the way you talk, the way you fulfill your promises, the way you say A and it is A. Trust me, one person will say it to the other. It may not work in 1 year or 2 years. It may be 5 years. But people will know you. When people talk about your name, what comes into their brains? That is who you are. That is the perception you have managed to build. And people like us, keep it with all we can. Because we know it. We know that it is wealth. Many people here in Uganda do not respect giving a word and keeping it. But I've seen it with the richest people. In all their books, that is the first point. Be trustworthy. The moment people pick that in you, you are good to go. You can ask your mom, I've transacted millions of money in dollars without agreements. That's why even my competitors, you see, when you build a brand, you don't worry about competitors. Because that's you. Nike is Nike. Puma is Puma. Doesn't matter. You can bring all the brands. But when Nike comes out, it is Nike. In whatever business you do, you just have to play into people's minds that every time they think about this particular field, my name has to cross their names. For instance, now, when I talk about petrol station, just shout out. Toothpaste. Soda. Thank you very much. Chicken. That is it. For as long as they can think about you like that, you are good to go. You don't have to fight. Sometimes people don't understand that I've just been in Uganda for 5 years. But all the construction awards here in Uganda, in all different entities, Bakaluba Property Services has to be there. But how many people did I find in the field? I'm learning from the best. I've seen the Andrew Tate talk. They give you the skills. Skills which help you sell indirectly. You are selling your products, but people actually do not understand that you are selling your products. When you come in here and you bring in more pupils in here, trust me, the video will circulate around and they'll be asking, who's this guy? What is he talking about? I never go to sleep until I irritate them enough not to ignore me. It is as simple as that. What does he do? Who does he think he is? Because in business, actually, you need people who love you. But you need people who hate you. You need them such that you can create a cult. That it is a strategy where others love you and others dislike you. So they fight amongst themselves to lift you up. Did you see that concert where we had to have Bebe Cool and Bobby Wine? Well, you think all of those guys went out of love? They went out of spite. Out of spite. I don't like Bebe Cool. I'll go and show him that Bobby Wine is better than him. You buy the ticket. Out of spite. Not out of love. Then you go there and you are supporting whoever you are supporting such that he can win. What? No, not out of love. Spite. Man U supporters will support anything that beats Arsenal. Why? It's a cult. And they know it. When the game is going on, they will sell out everything. I remember like a month ago, Eddie Kenzo was talking about the old generation, the Kadongo Kam. They didn't do anything. And the promoters were busy. Now, we need to arrange a concert. Why? Spite. There are people who are coming to show that Kadongo Kam is better than Eddie Kenzo. It is spite. It's not out of love. If they arranged and Eddie Kenzo hadn't said anything, what will happen? Nothing. You get Bobby Wine, you beat him up in Guru. What happens? People love him. Why? Out of spite. Why did you do that? That's why politicians are provoking the police. Beat me up. Take me to prison. Such that they can invoke your emotions. It is a tactic. It's until you reach that level of understanding. We can't go further than this. Thank you so much. We can't go further than this. But as I said, what we are trying to create here, we are trying to create top. You get it? We want to create top. We were talking about how poor people see money and how rich people see money. I want you to get out of here with rich people's vibe, mentality. There are certain people who are going to work all their lives, and all they know about money is paying bills, buying items. But a rich man's way of seeing money is seeing something which can work for him to get more money. Do you get that logic? Where I live, just up there, we have a big bar. And it has a football pitch. Guys go in there, they can shout all night. They play their football. And I remember I used to call the boss. He's called Bosco. Bosco, tell the guys to put down the music. Where is Bosco? Bosco is at home, sleeping. Then he will call his workers, put the music down, Haji wants to sleep. What does Bosco do in the morning? Bosco will come in the morning, he will count the money. The money he made when he was sleeping. But the sad part with this story, the guys who are there, they don't know what they're celebrating. But they go there almost every day or every after 2 days. The rich man sets up a trap for a poor man to bring in the money. The poor man thinks that he's having joy because that is what he's been taught money is for. You live once. That's why in dictatorship, the first thing they cut down is the alcohol. Okay, and the music will be plenty. In any dictatorship, for as long as you're happy, you don't question. All right? Now, him setting up the system, he leaves the poor fellas as well to collect money from other poor fellas. If you want to see it that way. All right? The waiters and the so-called manager. They'll get the money, put it in the till. Now, the big man who was sleeping at night will come in and they will present the money to him. He will see it, count it, pay those ones who managed to collect the money when he was sleeping, then he will go away. As he's collecting, as he's counting, the poor man is back on Haji Bakaluba's site, working, sweating the whole day. Then in the evening, he will clean up himself. So he's getting money from one rich man, taking it to a rich man at night. When a rich man gets it at night, then he will call another rich man in the morning, Haji Bakaluba, can you construct for me an extension here? Then I'll get other poor people to come construct. They will get the money, then they will take it back to my rich. Do you see how the circle goes? And when the construction is done, guess what they are going to say? Haji Bakaluba, you have done a very good job here. Hey, you're a good contractor. Guess what? Haji Bakaluba, tasitulangana ko kumuyiko. Never, he was just pointing. And they will be thanking the owner of the bar for putting up a good bar. Why? He knew how to set the system. It's the poor. They work. It is a cycle. It is a matrix. It never stops. And people are so asleep that they cannot see it. They are part of the game. They are being played all the time. When I came in here in 2020, the first interview they made on Haji Bakaluba, I had built 34 apartments in Ichanja. And when I said that I was a security guard, they were like, no, whoa, hold on. What? I say, yeah, I've been a security guard for 19 years. Nah, it doesn't add up. Then I had to tell the story on how everything unfolded over the course of years. The discipline, the learning, the buying and selling, the strategical moves I made over the years, to the point where now I had to see myself at the top. It took me almost 20 years to have the breakthrough. It was discipline, but understanding that I had a goal to achieve. It had a time frame. You still have the opportunity. At the young age, yes, you have the education, but education is secondary. There is something primary. It is finding out what is happening right now. Do you know that when you meet the people who graduated in the 90s, they're degree holders? They are. But the dynamics from the 90s don't apply right now. They do not. Life, you have to keep on updating all the time. What you have to be able to understand that what worked yesterday might not work today. But many people lose that. That's why our teachers are just teachers. They just teach from what they get from the book. You see, the teachers are people who are copying what they are teaching us, and they beat us for copying. Do you get it? You have to question. Mbalese, mbadduseeko. I think we have overstayed, but I'm just praying so hard that we can be able to have such talks. We must have these talks. I don't want you to end up like everyone in the city. I myself, I take like a month or two without even going to the city. Where I see crowds, that's not me. A rich mentality is a rich mentality. For you to get 1 million, you have to be worthy of 1 million. And what I want to teach you right now is to have that aura. When someone sees you, they see money, they see status, without forcing it, but they just feel it. And when they see you, they're asking, who's this guy? I need to meet this guy. You know, you talk like someone who gets things done. You don't get shaken. You have dreams. When you speak, you're always positive. People come to you they come for you for advice. It is such aura which is going to make money. We have questions? Ajati yanesibyeko nti mbabuuza ebibuuzo. Temulina bibuuzo. But I want, you see, such talks, mumuzirabanga ez'okusaaga. But with time, someone can tell you something, and you go back home and you start questioning. I don't know whether you get this. Questioning, I used to go mu industry area, and I see those loading bays, warehouses, and we are paying millions of money to park in there, load and unload. And I'm just like, how did these people make this money? So you look at someone and you just, what happens? The moment you start questioning yourselves, the answers will come. But if you are just comfortable, I'll just go to MTN, Simani, UNE, then they will employ me. If that is your level, there's somewhere you want to reach. Njagala byonna mbikole as a first point. As you're working to MTN, the way you talk, the way you position yourself, it's like you are always in transit. When someone comes in and you see that they are big, you have to talk to them to see whether there is a door. Not simply serving, but you are there to see other opportunities. All the time, you are never satisfied. You want to go somewhere. There's something you're always pushing. Chaka to meeting at 10 years in Amuvugazi Range Rover one. See this. Huh? Guys.